Hello, Estradasphere fans. Today I wanted to share with you something from the Estradasphere vault that is kind of cool, and it's also kind of nuts. I have a lot of different branches of the music I release here. Some of it's doo-wop, some of it's crazy prog music, so everything from kind of nice sounding to some pretty extreme abrasive stuff. So this is kind of on that abrasive side. If that's not your thing, maybe this video isn't for you. I just wanted to warn you so it doesn't turn you off. That abrasive music is not a real high percentage of what I make. As I get older, I'm finding myself wanting to do more music that just kind of sounds nicer, whatever. Call me getting soft, whatever. So this one may not be for you unless you like the more crazy side of stuff we do. Please subscribe below, hit the notification bell, and turn it to all so you actually get notifications when we make videos. Comment, like, and share. That helps my channel grow. I'm trying really hard to do that so we can get our music out there further. Let me say that Mr. Bungle was a huge influence on Estradasphere and myself. That's something we wear on our sleeve. Many of you may have heard the first album I ever made, which was in high school, called Don Salsa. That album was obviously inspired by Disco Volante, some high school kids that were just obsessed with Disco Volante, and I love that album. It turned out great. So it's not something we've ever hid from. But I do feel we have been tasteful about incorporating that influence. We obviously did not make the cardinal sin of Bungle-influenced bands, and that's to have a singer that in any way sounds like Mike Patton or even is heavily influenced by him. It's just, for whatever reason, a no-no. There's a lot to be inspired by Bungle, and I love Mike Patton and all of the range he can do on vocals, but having a band that sounds even remotely in that territory of music and then also having that just seems to be kind of a kiss of death. So we've always done a good job of avoiding that in Don Salsa and Estradasphere. It doesn't stop people from comparing us to Bungle over the years, but I don't really hear that much of a similarity. But I think a lot of people, this type of music is so foreign to them that when they hear something, most music kind of exists over here, pop and rock and jazz and classical, and then, eclectic music. If I were to zoom into that sphere of eclectic music, Mr. Bungle and Estradasphere doesn't sound anything alike. But, if you don't really know this music too well, I could easily see how you might say, like, oh, that sounds like, my parents used to say it all the time, that sounds like that Bungle stuff. But anyway, we never had the Mike Patton sounding thing going on. But what we did do in Don Salsa was incorporated some of the electronics and noise that Bungle did, especially on Disco Volante. Estradasphere never did too much of that electronics and noise stuff. We stuck to more of a organic band sound until Palace of Mirrors. There were 2 songs on there that really did incorporate that influence and were pretty unique, but were definitely sort of drawing on that Disco Volante influence a little bit. The Unfolding / Pause on the Threshold was one of them, and Flower Garden of an Evil Man. If you know the Unfolding, Pause on the Threshold, it's a crazy song. If you haven't heard it, pause this, go check it out. It's a really crazy song. It's hard to describe, lots of noisy elements. There's also some melodies in there. But anyway, that song came out of this larger pool of material that we released on the Pegasus Vault, which was sort of an addendum, product that Estradasphere released after Palace of Mirrors, just kind of saying, here's all the stuff we didn't use for the record. And we recorded a ton of music for Palace of Mirrors that was, all on the table for what are we going to use. It was kind of, when you hear the Pegasus Vault, you're going to be like, wow, they had all this stuff that they didn't use. And I think we did make the right choices there, but there's some good stuff on the Pegasus Vault. It is available on my website, timsmolens.com. It comes with a bunch of tracks. You'll be blown away. There was a lot of this weird noisy electronic music though. The roots of that music go back to when Jason and I first moved up to Santa Cruz. He was going to school at UC Santa Cruz. And I just moved up there. I was like, hey, I don't want to go to college. I'm just going to do music, whatever. My parents were cool with it. Hey, I'm not sure it's something I would tell my kids at this point, but that's where they were at. So I just did it. Jason was enrolled in, he was a music major, but he was in the electronic music program as well. So he had access to their electronic music studio. And there was all these Moog synthesizers and stuff. And so he had these projects to do. where we would get to go in the studio for, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours, and we did some crazy stuff that was, you'll definitely hear the roots of some of the Palace of Mirrors stuff, and I think you'll be fascinated by it. So the song, I'm going to play 2 segments today. One is going to be called Face Off, Advocate versus Accuser, and that's the more polished version that we mixed for the Pegasus Vault years later based on that older source material. It's more refined. We did some overdubs on it. I think it is a really great sort of I hate to use the word industrial because I'm not a huge fan of industrial music. I definitely don't like to use the word electronic because it brings EDM to mind. So I don't know what to call it, but noisy electronic industrial type of thing that you're going to hear. And I think it is a really good track, probably one of the best on the Pegasus Vault. You'll hear one element on there that sounds a little bit like the bends, where you hear this. It's not really like the bends. You just hear a voice that's like, oh, and it just sounds like a muffled voice that's underwater. So it brings a little bit of that to mind. But really, it's a pretty unique song. And so after I play Face Off, Advocate versus Accuser, I will play the original sort of, I don't know how long it is, 10 minutes. I'll have to look here when I drop it in the editing file here of the original UC Santa Cruz sort of electronic music studio sessions that we was the basis of some of the stuff that ended up on Palace of Mirrors. So you'll hear Face Off, Advocate versus Accuser, the refined one, and then the entire reel of electronic type of music that we did. So hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe below. Let's help grow this channel. I appreciate all the people that have been doing that, and it has been growing steadily. So need to keep getting those numbers up, but it is pretty encouraging and it's making me want to keep making content. Eventually I'm going to be doing this on a conservatory on Patreon and releasing everything there and some of the stuff on YouTube. But anyway, I hope you Estradasphere fans enjoy this deep dive into the Estradasphere Vault. Check out Face Off, Advocate versus Accuser, and then I'll make a note when it switches to the other track, the older one. All right, thanks, guys.